On Newcastle United's wait for a trophy goes on for another year after they bowed out in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup to Manchester City in a pretty meagre display, first half at least. I'm joined for the very first time together on the same video with Mr. Paul Rutter. Good evening, Paul.
How are you doing? How are you doing? Yes, it's our debut, it's our first time.
It's only taken 7 months to get onto the same video, but here we are. And what a time to start after a pretty pathetic loss. What did you make of the game today, and just where did it go wrong? I should just remind you before you go on one of your rants, feel free to join us into the video. I can see Jake waiting already. You see the link in the description, in the live chat. Click on that. I'll see you in the virtual waiting room, and you can be on what is essentially Mulliner and Rutter Unleashed. So, Paul, go for it.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah, what an absolute horror show, especially first half. It was just like watching the washing going round. I might as well just sat in front of the washing machine and watch that for 45 minutes. It was absolutely horrendous. I watched it on my laptop. I wanted to sling it in the front garden. It was an absolute, just a sham of a performance. The formation just reeked of just come at us. You know, there was no positivity. There was changes made to the lineup that I was just perplexed about. And goodness me, the golfing class. The thing is though, right, Sam, if you're going to go out swinging, go out attacking, go out with a plan. Oh my word, it was. I mean, I know they're a fantastic side, but and I know it's De Bruyne's birthday, but was there any need to gift wrap a present to him like what we did? You know, I understand you're trying to be narrow, you're trying to defend the box. I get all of that, but from team selection to tactics to the gift of that first goal, it was painful to watch. And like I said, I was close a couple of times to just picking the laptop up, slinging it in the front garden, and just chalking it. It was diabolical, mate.
It certainly was. Now I can see we've already got Thomas, Jake, and Lloyd waiting, but we're going to go straight into one of our more recognisable faces, and he's not a happy chap. Star of the Greenwood and Mulliner show, Jonny Greenwood himself. Jonny, you're not a happy bunny.
No, I think we've absolutely bottled it today. I really do. I'm really annoyed. I'm annoyed to the fact that Steve Bruce didn't start Shelby. You put him. He's been probably one of our better players since he's come back. I've not heard of any injury. We've made 5 substitutions today. You bring in Fabian Schär, who hasn't really played a lot of football at the best of times. You bring Sean Longstaff in from the Cull, and he's going to get a lot of criticism, undeservedly, because he's literally been put in without any really pre-season efforts since the lockdown's come back, and you're throwing him in there against Manchester City. I'm sorry, but it's not good enough. Bruce is harping on this was the biggest game of the season. Every Newcastle fan got really, really up for it. And I'm not saying we're going to beat Manchester City, but you've got to put something more than that in. I'm sorry, it was not good enough today. It really wasn't. We didn't lay a glove on Manchester City. We did not lay a glove. That first half was painful, like Paul says, really, really painful. Second half did a little bit better, but deflating. Deflating is the word I would use. I think the last 20 minutes when Sterling scores, you may as well just put. You could have got 11 random people from Newcastle just to play that. We could have done that. We could have ran and pressured them. Really, really disappointing today. And for me, lads, I think you've got to look at the fact that did Newcastle actually believe that they could do anything today? Because every fan was thinking, yes, there was no fans in the stadium, and I do think that had a little bit to do with it, with the whole thing. But you've got to put a little bit more in that for me. They just did not believe. Manchester City had just lost the title to Liverpool. I know the title was already done, but their heads were down. And you're telling me that they couldn't have... They were there for the taking in a respect. I'm not there saying that Manchester City are beatable, because they're not. They've got some fantastic players. But that was the time you probably wanted to play them. 3 days before they played Chelsea, 90 minutes against a tough Chelsea side. And then they've got to go back to Manchester to then go back to Newcastle. They look like they were in every single competition and thought that they had to play it to the end, where Newcastle today just didn't think they had any chance whatsoever. And that was the most frustrating aspect of the whole game today.
Yeah, it's something I've been harping on about since I've joined the channel, really, about Steve Bruce's management of his whole squad, particularly around Christmas time. We saw him not looking after players. Florin Lejeune, I hold up as the prime example. Paul, do you think we saw that today with the likes of Sean Longstaff, like Johnny mentioned, playing a full 90 minutes? The lad wasn't even involved in any of the friendlies before the Sheffield United game. Has he been chucked in at the deep end?
I think he has. Just touching on Shelvey, he was injured. We did bring it on the Facebook page. He was injured a couple of days ago, but obviously good enough for a place, at least on the bench. And if he's good enough for a place on the bench, then you've got to be ready to be able to come on and affect the game. He is one of our match winners, and we needed a match winner on. We needed that quality to be on the pitch. To throw Sean Longstaff, who as I think has been used as a political pawn at times over the Matty Longstaff situation, to throw him in, I thought he did okay, but not spectacular. He was well off the mark. He's had no pre-season friendlies. He's had 2 or 3 days worth of training, and then you throw him in, despite the fact that in previous games you've used Fabian Schär as a midfielder, where he plays internationally a lot of the time for his for his country and stuff. I just found it really perplexing, all of the decisions. And during that first half, Bruce didn't seem to change things or try and spruce it up, try to rattle a few cages. We seemed quite happy to just be one down at half time. It was just awful. I mean, Darlow in goal, and that's another one. You say it's the biggest game of the season, and it is. Yet you're playing Darlow. Fine against Oxford, not got a problem against Oxford, but you're playing against a team who's just beaten Real Madrid a matter of a month or 2 ago. You've got to go with your strongest team. I've been a little bit against Carl Darlow, but I've seen that second goal back. He couldn't have done much about it. He wasn't closed down, but what message does it send to the rest of the lads? He's seen Carl Darlow there rather than Martin Dubravka, and so on and so forth. And I just think some of the decisions all over the place. He tried the Rafa-esque, the Rafa-light tactics that weren't working before. He's persevering. It was just, there were so many things that were wrong, and I'm so gutted, because the thing is, if we could have got through today, and we'll get onto the Dwight Gale chance shortly, but if we could have, Arsenal in the semis, that was the best case scenario, that the stars were aligned, and it's just another year. I mean, I'm 40 this year. I've seen us win the Intertoto Cup, man. That is it. I get a tear in my eye when I see that trophy. That is the great sum of it. But I just think we've gone out so limp, so lame. And like I say, I could have sat and watched the washing machine first half with the colours just going round, because that's all it was. It was just like watching a coloured wash on the washing machine in the kitchen. And I was goodness me.
Sorry, Paul, but why if this is the biggest game of the season, and he throws in players like Shaw and Longstaff, and he has to potentially might have to play them if there's a couple of injuries, why not throw him in against Villa? Villa was a nothing game to us. It was for Villa. It was throw them in against Villa. Was safe. 38 points, 39 points, or whatever it was at the time. Throw them in against them. Like today, Almiron was non-existent. ASM tried, but again, 3 or 4 players always around him. It's just frustrating to say the least. Andy Carroll, for me, felt so sorry for him watching him today. How many times he was fighting against Otamendi and Laporte just to try and get something. Won the odd free kick, had a shot, which I know was a long range shot, but a shot at the best of times. But I'm sorry today, that was just not good enough. And look, if you get beat 2-0, but you put everything on the line and you really go for it, fine. I'll take that. It's Man City. It's Man City, that can happen. But not a day. I'll come off, lads. I'll let some other people have a chance to chat. But scoring the players will be interesting.
Yes, it will. And you will see Johnny back later on hosting Scoring the Players alongside myself and Kyle. Johnny, we'll see you a bit later on.
See you later. Cheers, lads.
And that was Mr. Greenwood. Right, let's crack on. And he was keen last week, and he's keen this week. He was first one waiting. I think he was even logged in before me. Let's bring in Jake. Evening,
Hi,
Jake.
Evening.
What did you make of that game?
I shocking. There's no need to play 3 at the back.
Do you think that, let's look at the Man City lineup. Do you think City were taking this more seriously than what we were?
Yes. Even though they put their second choice keeper and a few players that they didn't need to, they still put out their best lineup they possibly could.
Yeah, it's not great. So you say there 3 at the back. Would you have liked to see Bruce stick with the 4-2-3-1 that he's been playing of late?
We did better when later in the game when he was brought back in the second half.
Do you think? Yeah, that's definitely true. Do you think the players looked a bit tired? We saw ASM and Almiron they were pretty non-existent today, weren't they? Do you think Bruce paid the price for not rotating against Aston Villa?
Yeah, there was no need to keep the same team twice in 3 days, knowing that we have Man City 2 days after, and then they'll be that tired.
Did he give the squad too much to do, Paul?
I think he did. I said it before the Villa game. I said it before the Villa game that the Manchester City game was our biggest game of the week. For Villa, it was the game against Newcastle. That was their biggest game of the week. We should have rotated in that game and not played an unchanged side, keeping the likes of ASM and Miggy more fresh for today's game. They look fatigued, they look tired. And what happened at Christmas when that happened? You're going to pick up stupid, daft injuries to the likes of ASM. But now, I mean, the season, it's pretty much pointless. It's pretty much over. We've got to go through the motions. We've got a long trip down to Bournemouth next up. And we've got nothing at all to look forward to. And the stars were just aligning with the cup run that we've been on. But it's I've seen a lot of things sticking up for Steve Bruce, to be fair. But today and against Villa, he's got it badly, badly wrong. Because if we'd have, I'm sure the other team that we could have played against Villa would have been more than capable of picking a point up. That would have given us a better chance in this game. And he just needed to be a bit braver and to back the players a bit more, because we did play a better second half. And obviously, we'll get onto the Gale thing shortly. That was absolutely un-bloody believable. But at least second half, at least we rolled our sleeves up and threw a few punches. But the first half was absolutely diabolical. You can't excuse the first half. Bang out of order. And you hark back to that Sheffield United. If we'd had a Sheffield United-esque performance, who knows what could have happened? Get them on the ropes, get them thinking and get the heads down and get them thinking about the league that they've just lost. But no, not good enough. I'm sorry, not good enough. I'm really cross and disappointed about this one, because, like I say, somebody of my generation, 40 years into Total Cup, beyond a joke. Sick of it.
Yeah, and what a plaque that Intertoto Cup is. Jake, last question before I let you go. Then we will hear from Thomas, followed by Lloyd and Callum, as we've got loads of people waiting to get in tonight. A lot of feelings need to be expressed. Anyone that's watching, feel free to pop on, use the link, use it as therapy, unload, unleash your emotions, and we're all ears. Jake, last question for you, mate. How do you think we'll get on Wednesday against Bournemouth? And would you rotate the squad? Who would you drop? Who would you bring in?
I think we'll probably get a draw. Bournemouth need the win. But I would rotate.
Would you stick with the same team?
No, we've got to rotate.
Who would you bring in?
Probably Lazaro, all of them. Second string players.
He looked sharp when he came on, definitely. Jake, thanks for coming on again, mate. And we'll see you next time. That was Jake there. And let's keep on rolling. And we will bring in NFTV Junior now. It's Thomas. Thomas, evening.
Hello.
What did you make of that game tonight?
Terrible.
Evening.
Shocking.
Well, yeah, it was pretty terrible, wasn't it? You've obviously barely old enough to even remember Paul's cherished memory of the Intertoto Cup. So what would it have meant to you to have seen Newcastle win today and progress to Wembley?
It would have meant a lot, because Newcastle United deserve something like that. The fight, but Man City just get to go to Wembley every single year. They didn't even care. I was just thinking when the game ended, all the fans would be like, "Oh yeah, we're going to Wembley. Way!" Newcastle fans would have been going mental if we went to Wembley. Newcastle need a shock to get some players in to actually progress into Wembley and maybe win the cup.
Definitely. What did you make of the penalty incident? Fabian Schär with a very, very soft challenge on Gabriel Jesus, but a penalty nonetheless. Definite penalty for you?
No, not definite penalty. If
No?
VAR wasn't around, I don't think it would have been a penalty, but just a little soft shove. It's a little shove. It wasn't enough to go down, but then Kevin De Bruyne obviously converted it. If Dubravka was in goal, he still probably wouldn't have saved it, but shocking really, the penalty giveaway. And then, yeah, second goal, what goal that was, could do nothing about it. Can't blame anyone about that goal. Just you should have pressed them a little bit more. And Gale's chance, if they went up 90 seconds up the pitch, Gale just come on, missed that chance, unbelievable chance, just went over. Maximin's nice play. Man City player slipped. He could have converted that to 1-1, and then they probably had the heads up and been playing more progressive. And then 90 seconds later, Sterling went up the pitch, and then Newcastle wouldn't push him, and they curled in and curled it into the top corner. Shocking.
I think you're after a job, Thomas. I think you're after a job on NFTV. That's what I think you're after. You're after Paul. He's after your job, Paul.
I better be worried. But he summed it up far better than what I can. I'm just seething and boiling inside. What he said was absolutely perfect. With the Gale miss, and then, like you say, 60 seconds, 90 seconds later, up the other end, stand off. You know what he's going to do. Nobody closes him down effectively. Bang, and then there you go. Like we said though, you can take defeat if it's in the right manner. You can take it in a gracious, way, but to do it so tamely, and I suppose as game of the season, and now the only thing we've got to look forward to is the circus around this godforsaken takeover. So
don't mention the word so soon after that game.
It was a bit shocking because we've drew at home with Man City 2-2, then 2-1 we've won, and then the tactics of when I looked at the lineup, Andy Carroll and Darlow, I was like, this game's going to be terrible. Put Dubravka, put Gale. You've seen how Gale play when he come on. Joe Linton's even getting better now. Just a bit shocking putting Andy Carroll on. He's one of the players putting the sub on and then booming the ball up to him when everyone's tired. Then he can hold it up and let the players come up. But when you're starting Andy Carroll at the start of the game, you know what he's like. He's old. He hasn't got really. He was tired after the first half.
I'll tell you something. Yeah. I'll tell you something there, Sam. Never mind my job. You might be after Steve Bruce's.
It's a distinct possibility. I mean, we can all have a whip round and put him through his coaching badges. I mean, I'm sure there'll be plenty watching this that'll lend their support. Thomas, last question for you, mate, before I let you go. We look ahead to Bournemouth on Wednesday. Who would you be bringing in to play? And how do you think the game's going to go? What result are we going to get?
Well, I didn't see the point. You should have started Dubravka in the Man City game. So if you hadn't Dubravka in the Bournemouth game, we're a bit done really. We start Dubravka, bring him back in, and then Lascelles will go 4 at the back instead of 5 at the back, because the 5 at the back was just for Man City against a big club. Bournemouth need the win. We can just go for progressing, getting the attack. Joe Linton starting, Andy Carroll on the bench, Gale on the bench, and then bring them 2 on. Progression, Maximin, Almiron, Shelvey and Hayden. But then if Shelvey's still injured when he was on the bench, he should start someone like, I don't even know, the Longstaff brothers, even if you start Sean Longstaff and get more training for him ready for the game. But shocking really. If he starts Darlow against Man City and then puts Dubravka in against Bournemouth, what's the point? We don't care about Bournemouth, we're already safe. We could lose every single game and still be safe. But then Dubravka starting against Man City, we should have done that instead of playing against a top world class team, one of the best teams in the world, starting our second goalkeeper when we start our first best goalkeeper against Aston Villa and Sheffield United and Southampton. It's a bit shocking, really.
He talks a lot of sense.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Thomas, thank you very much for coming on, and we'll see you again next time. Well done. That was Thomas there. And Paul, I'm going to get rid of you now, just bear with and don't go anywhere, as I now bring in Lloyd and Callum. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Right, mate. All right,
I'm
lads.
all right. I'm fine, thank you.
Good out. Right, I'll come to you first, Lloyd. Lloyd, what happened to ASM and Almiron tonight? Where were they?
Non-existent. That's all I can say. Non-existent. I think the best part of the game was actually seeing Alan Shearer back at St James's Park. To be honest with you, I think that was the best part of the game. I think the game felt like a training game, attack versus defence. It was so poor. I mean, I'd rather lose 7-0 and at least try. You know, we didn't try all game. It was such a bad game to watch. One of the worst games I've seen all season from us. It was that bad.
Callum, did Bruce get the tactics wrong today? Should he have stuck with the 4-2-3-1 and had more conviction?
I do agree. I thought that they were really struggling the first half, really. I thought it's really poor. Yeah, but they just stay the same, really.
Yeah, Lloyd, do you agree? Do you think Bruce should have stuck with the 4-2-3-1 and give us a better chance? We certainly looked a bit more lively in the second half when he did.
I think he put the wrong players in. I think Fabian Schär was one of our worst players. I think he made so many mistakes. The penalty, he gave the ball away constantly. He wasn't even in the right position most of the game. It was disappointing, and Bruce got it completely wrong. I mean, just go out and try. We need to get into the next round. It's our biggest game of the season now because we're not going to get relegated now. To be honest with you, you know, we had to try, and he failed completely.
He absolutely did, unfortunately. Callum, let's talk about that Dwight Gale miss. What happened? What is he doing? Surely he's got to bury it.
Well, I thought second half, I don't know how he missed that. I was thinking he's more like a championship player than the Premier League player. He's good with Crystal Palace, don't get me wrong, but it's something wrong with him, really.
Yeah, Lloyd, I mean, maybe there's an argument for starting Gale against the likes of Villa and Bournemouth, who are kind of the lesser teams in the Premier League, who may very well be playing in the Championship next season. Should he be really having anything to do against Manchester City, considering he's proven to be pretty ineffective at Premier League level?
I mean, a striker who's on 20 grand a week can't score from 5 yards out. I mean, it says it all, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely does. Finally, gents, I'll get a prediction from you both for Wednesday evening against Bournemouth. Callum, how do you think we'll get on?
I say it would be a draw, maybe 2-2. I'm not sure. Sorry guys, I do really struggle. Sorry guys.
That's right, you're doing fine. You think it's going to be a 2-2?
But I say 2-2. But we could be a chance to win if probably Matt Ritchie scored a goal again. But who knows?
Yeah, very true. Lloyd, we've not got a bad record down there. How do you think we'll get on?
We'll lose. Bournemouth are fighting for their life. We have nothing to play for, so I can see Bournemouth probably winning. Probably a 1-0.
That's deflated even further. Jen, thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate it. And fingers crossed you're both wrong on Wednesday. Let's welcome back Paulinho. That's depressed me even more now, Paul. They both think we're not going to bounce back and beat Bournemouth on Wednesday. What do you reckon? I'm turning to the drink.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I can see the point. It's after the Lord Mayor's show. There's pretty much nothing to play for. The only thing we've got to play for is that prize money. And the only people really interested in that at the club potentially would be Lee Chaney and Mike Ashley. And you all know my opinion on them two, absolute clowns. I've got a feeling it probably will be it's going to be a drab game. And I can see it being a draw myself, like a ones apiece or something like that, which it's not going to really suit them. They are playing some diabolical stuff. To me now, you might as well experiment. You might as well throw in a couple of these youngsters. Are they good enough? Let's have a look at Lazaro to see whether we need him next season, because we need to start making some joined up ideas if this takeover doesn't go through or if it's dragged on or whatever. So Lazaro, give him a chance. Dan Barlaser, is there a way that we can get him involved at all in the squad? Let's see Matty. People keep saying he's not worth this, he's not worth that, he's not worth the other. I tell you what, he's a bit of an idea. Throw him in the Premier League, give him a couple of games, and then let's just see what we've got. Because I've argued that we need to move heaven and earth, but certainly a little bit more than what we're doing at the moment to get the lad signed up. So yeah. You might as well experiment now because we've got nothing at all to play for. We're not capable of getting Europe. I don't think we're going to go down. The odd point here and there will be A-OK. And like I said, let's try Matty out. Let's try to get Sean back to some sort of form. Let's see about Lazaro. Yedlin, is he finished at the club? Let's see. You know what I mean? So there's those questions that need to be answered for. But you just get sick every season. It gets to this stage. There's nothing to play for. You're going through the motions. The lads are probably mentally already having the summer holidays off in the head and everything. And the other thing I'd like
to only got 3 games. They can't be on the holidays. They've had 3 games in the space of a week. They can't be on the holidays. Right. We're going to get James on now, followed by Elliot, Lulu, Rory, Joseph, Prolock, and Rowan. So, lads, just be patient. Thank you for waiting as we welcome on now. James.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, sum that game up for us. How bad was it, or are we being too harsh?
First of all, Bruce got the team selection wrong, in my opinion. I have no problem with playing 5 at the back. However, some of the players that he decided to select baffles me. First of all, the obvious one that everyone's going to talk about is Darlow coming in for Dubravka. Now, that baffles me. Like Paul said earlier, yes, it's all right playing them against the likes of Oxford and Rochdale and that. But in a quarter-final against Man City, that just baffles me. And when I looked at that, I was, oh God, I was worried, to be honest. And seeing Sean Longstaff in for Shelby, I know he was injured, but my argument to that is, if Hayden's fit and had a niggle, then why is Shelby on the bench as well, unless the injury's worse than Hayden's? But yeah, that baffled us. No problem with Carroll up front. Onto the game. First half, well, it was absolutely dreadful, to be honest. I put something out on Twitter today. We don't demand a team that wins. We demand a team that tries, which is what we all say. But that weren't trying in that first half. Definitely not. We sat back. 15% possession. That is just inexcusable. No closing down. No trying to block crosses and that. And we knew it was going to be a matter of time before Man City scored. And then somehow we were half an hour in and it was still 0-0. But then Fabian Shaw decides he's going to act like a prat and push not Kevin De Bruyne, Jesus in the back and give away a penalty. What is he doing? Despite being dominated, it's still 0-0. But yet he thinks to go for a cross that was going nowhere anyway. He's just going to shove him in the back. And I don't understand why people are moaning. It was a clear penalty, clear push and that. But yeah, De Bruyne slots it. There's no way he's going to miss that. And yeah, it was just all downhill from there, pretty much.
Paul, was Shares defending as bad as his haircut?
Goodness me. He's right. Perfectly summed up. Yes, it was a soft penalty, but it was a penalty, no doubt about it. If you are stupid enough to put your hands on his back like that, as soon as you feel that as the opposition player, of course you're going to go down. And what a perfect present for the birthday boy. You might as well have gift wrapped it. you don't mind if you cut open or if it's a moment of brilliance or, you know, that sort of thing. But just to give it to them like that, I'm sorry, I just don't know what's happened to Fabian Schär. I know he's Lee's favourite and stuff like that, and you know we've spoke so positively about him, but he just hasn't seemed to have his right head on. You know, has he something lined up? Does he know he has no future at the club? What is wrong with the lad? Because consistently he's not been putting the performances in recently. So disappointing, and just such a limp way to go out of what was billed as the biggest game of the season for Newcastle. Bruce hyped it up. Everybody was hyping it up, and that was an absolute wet fart of a performance. I'm sorry, but it was. Darlow didn't really have a chance with the penalty. He didn't really have a chance, to be honest, with the other goal and stuff as well. But my main problem with Darlow being in is the message that it sends to the rest of the team. Your second choice keeper is in, not your first choice. So what does that say to everybody else? It's the attitude.
James, did Darlow do anything that Dubravka wouldn't have done today? Was Darlow really an issue, or did the issue just lie elsewhere?
Well, to be fair to him, he didn't do absolutely terrible, but the point that we're all like trying to make across is you still play your first choice keeper in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Yeah, you're right. He didn't do anything bad. He actually made a couple of good saves, to be fair, from Sterling and that in the first half when they were on top. So we've got to remember that. But yeah, like I said, the main argument is he's our number 2 keeper. We should be playing our number 1 keeper in a quarter final at home to Man City, especially when it's behind closed doors as well.
James, 2 more questions for you before I let you go.
Yeah.
First one, do you like beer?
No.
Can you say yes for the purposes of a tenuous link?
Yeah, probably.
Good lad.
Brilliant. Then you can get your introductory free crate of beer at our sponsors, Beer 52. Head on over to beer52.com/NFTV for your introductory free case. All you've got to do is pay for P&P. 8 cases for 8 cans for $5.95. Absolutely lovely stuff. But and finally, we've also got Amazon and 3 Retro for all of your retro shirt needs. James, Wednesday night against Bournemouth, how do you think we'll get on?
Like the others are saying, I think it's going to be another bore fest, to be honest. And it will probably they're fighting for their lives. We've got nothing to play for, as the others said, and it will probably end in either drab 1-1 draw or Bournemouth will probably nick it, to be honest. I haven't got much confidence after today's performance. Just really disappointed with that in the end, and now we've only really got the takeover to be excited to. But all in all, it's just really disappointing why we couldn't have. It was like all that excitement building up to the game. We're seeing the team selection and we're down straight away, and it just gets worse and worse and worse as the game goes on. But yeah, on Wednesday, I think it'll be a draw. Possibly, if not, Bournemouth will nick it 2-1. Probably, hopefully not.
Thanks for coming on, James, and thank you very much for your lovely pessimism for Wednesday night.
Thank you very much.
That was James there, who thinks we're going to get beat by Bournemouth on Wednesday. Trust me, Paul, to ask one of the only people that will come on for us tonight that doesn't drink to lead into the Beer 52 sponsorship.
Oh, I tell you something, Sam. I was teetotal. I started supporting Newcastle, and it drives you to the drink. Never mind how else. Drives you to it. I had a hair at one point.
Performances like that definitely do. Right, we'll get Elliot on now, and then we will get on Lulu and Rory. So let's welcome on Elliot. I think he's going to have something to say about Dwight Gale's miss.
Hi, lads. I thought, am I on this? Hi. I'll just turn the...
Go on, Elliot. What did you make of Dwight Gale?
Sorry. Which... Hi. Sorry. Hi,
Elliot. Go on. What did you make of Dwight Gale tonight?
Hi, lads. I thought we played very, very well for the half an hour. The Fabian Schär. I don't know what he was. Fabian Schär What was he doing in the penalty box? Penalty box, grabbing a player from behind, like diving down. It's absolutely utter nonsense. Why would he do it against Man City?
Fabian Schär coming in for a lot of criticism this evening. Elliot, what did you think of Dwight Gale's miss? Should he really be burying that from 6 yards out?
I'm struggling to see where the there. I thought Dwight Gale should have scored 1-1. It would have been a wholly different. It would have been a wholly different tie. We could have had extra time, and we could have won the match. Now I would like to move on to Bournemouth and get 3 points there, but 1 point would be enough to make us safe, but also City's quality was far too good, and also City's quality was far too good.
Yeah, City were just on a bit of a different level to us tonight, weren't they, Paul? Elliot, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
You.
Paul, was it just that City are just levels above us, and essentially they've just got better players, and we're just not good enough?
That is it in a nutshell, to be honest. I mean, they could afford to put, obviously, their second choice keeper in tonight, but to be fair, he could take that kit off and he wouldn't even have to wash it. You know what I mean? He's not had to get a sweat on, has he, to be able to do what he's had to do in the match. There wasn't anything at all. They do have an abundance of riches. To be fair, their reserve team and maybe their youth team will produce players who will be star players in our first team. And there is a massive gulf, which is one of the reasons why we want the takeover to go through, just to give us a little bit more of a fighting chance, because we know Mike Ashley hasn't equipped us to be able to fight on all of these fronts and stuff. I'm just gutted though, because at the end of the day, I can accept defeat. I've seen enough Newcastle defeats over the years. It's the manner of the defeat. It's the not changing things. It's not trying something else. It's not being brave. It's not backing your players. It's not making the changes early on. I mean, like, for example, Bobby, if he'd have watched that first half, there'd have been changes first half. There's no doubt about it. It wasn't good enough, and you could see in him on for Sundays that we were going to do nothing. But Bruce seemed happy getting at 1-0 down, and that mentality all along. It was just a case of damage limitation, and you've got to be brave at least for portions of the game. And I just felt, apart from a small period where we had a little bit of possession, but we didn't look particularly attacking or probing or penetrating out like that. We were just second best, and we were second best in the heart section. There was no spit, fire, guts, determination, think of like David Batty-esque stuff. There was none of that. There was players, I don't know, to me, his team selection set the entire, and the formation just set the entire mood for the entire rest of the game. And this trying to be Rafa-esque and going for Rafa-esque formations, he knows there's going to be them comparisons and stuff. I wouldn't have bothered. I thought Danny Rose looked all right tonight. He seemed to be getting better with game time. So maybe there's a little bit of a bright spot. I thought Joe Linton put himself around physically, which is what we've asked for when he came on. He looked good, but again, a £40 million player on the bench because we've used him in the previous game. To me, there was priorities this week, and Bruce has got the priorities wrong. And now, I mean, he's got to think as well that potential for takeover and stuff like that. You're putting yourself in the shop window. You want a chance. How better than to take the team to Wembley? How better than to push them onto the latter stages of the FA Cup? You're not doing that extra that you need to, and I just feel really disappointed. And it's left a a bad taste in my mouth this evening based upon what I just seen. We might as well have just chalked shit on the first half and not bothered at all, and then just tried a little bit from the second half. But I mean, how many clear-cut chances? The Dwight Gale one, and then there was literally a couple of ones from absolutely miles out there. It's never going to, trouble Manchester City in their defence and their keeper. So I can take defeat, but I can't take defeat in the manner where it's like a Labrador and it's just rolled on its back. That's how it seems tonight.
Yeah, we definitely got our bellies tickled tonight. Right, I'm going to get rid of you again, Paul, and I'm going to bring in. Who am I going to bring in? I'm going to bring in Lulu, and I'm going to bring in. Who else am I going to bring in? I'm going to bring in Rory. Evening, gentlemen. How are we?
All right. I'm good.
Good out. Right, we'll come to you first, Lulu. What went wrong tonight?
I think everything. I mean, I even made a list watching the games. I thought it was that bad. We've seen him do it,
We've got a bit of a problem with your microphone there, Lulu. We can't hear you. So Rory, I'll come to you. What did you make of Dwight Gale tonight? What about that miss? It was pretty shocking.
Oh, mate. Honestly, I remember as Maxi had the ball on the wing. I've done it so many times in Newcastle. As the ball came across to him, I didn't even bat an eyelid. I didn't expect it to go in at any point. I didn't have any reaction to it because I'm so used to us missing opportunities like that, especially when it's the only opportunity we get in the whole game. There's no real point getting excited about it, to be honest.
I mean, surely, Dwight Gale's renowned as a bit of a poacher, a pouncer, an out-and-out goal scorer. It was on a plate for him there. I mean, that's up there with the miss of the season. That was reminiscent of Matt Ritchie, Burnley away last season. It was pretty horrendous. And, of course, 60 seconds later, Raheem Sterling made it 2-0. And from then on, it was game over, wasn't it?
Well, that miss almost gave City the kick up the arse to go score one last goal to just finish it off, because they went, oh, maybe Newcastle can do something, let's just go finish it. And like you said, it was a training game for them. Sterling was smiling and laughing throughout half of it. And I know Darlow's getting a lot of hate about that it should have been Dubravka, and I think it should have been Dubravka, but it's not Darlow's fault that he was picked. He tried his best, but when, like you say, the Villa game means nothing, you might as well start your best team in what is the biggest game for most of these Newcastle fans. So it was just, I think the team selection was poor. The tactics, yes, go more defensive, but still at least try and attack. And try and give Maxi the ball at least. He didn't get half the ball as much as he would have wanted. And for Danny Rose to be our best player was not great.
Yeah, that brings me on to a question I was going to ask you, Lulu. Do you think Danny Rose was our best player tonight? Because looking at a positive spin very briefly on what is obviously a very negative evening, Danny Rose seems to be improving now every game he plays. So was it that encouraging at least?
Yeah, I mean, he did look fitter. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, you can now. We're all good.
Yeah. But I think the way that Brucey tried to do his tactics tonight, he tried to play 5 at the back with Danny Rose as a wing back. He's not a wing back. He's never been a wing back. So that was never going to be a positive thing for us. I think Fabian Schär playing at centre half, we've seen him do it at the Euros. He pushes and pulls players and gives away stupid fouls, and that made our job harder from the start. He can only play in the back 3 as well. Every time I've seen him try and play in the back 4, he struggles. So again, that did us no favours. I'm going to re-emphasise the point that Dubravka should have started. You're playing your quarter-final in the first sort of quarter-final in 10, 15 years. So you've got to put your best players out for a start. And the defensive mentality against Man City with with Darlow in goal, is basically saying, we've got 5 at the back, have 3 shots at us, which doesn't do the team any good. I think we missed Matt Ritchie and his positive influence. He's a loud voice. He gives players I'm not putting in the effort to kick up the arse, and that's what you need. But unfortunately, it was just chasing shadows all night, I think, for us.
Yeah, summed it up quite nicely there. I mean, Rory, one thing I noticed in the first half, or one thing I was thinking in the first half, is Jesus Christ, what score would this be if Aguero was playing?
Yeah.
Do you think we rode our luck? To me, Gabriel Jesus, he's no Aguero, is he?
He's not, but he's still a Jesus. You're always in for a beating when you defend like that, because I was watching it. I was talking to a Man United fan while we were watching it, and he was saying how it was absolutely abysmal our passing. I looked at stats afterwards, and for a Premier League team, even though we are playing City, to have 60, I think it was around 60% passing accuracy. It's just, how can you make 6 out of 10 passes and expect to make a FA Cup semi-final? It's ridiculous. But we definitely rode our luck in the first half. It could have been about 4 if Aguero was on the pitch.
Yeah, at least. Lulu, what's happening with Miggy? Because this is 2 games in a row now. I gave him a generous 5 out of 10 against Aston Villa in not last week, 3 days ago, in scoring the players midweek. He'll be getting a pretty harsher mark tonight, I would have thought, which stay tuned for after we're done here. What's happening with Miggy? He may as well not have been on the pitch tonight.
Sorry, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, go
on. I think Almiron again today was playing him out wide, which doesn't suit him at all. He's a number 10. I think we should have started with, the 3 along the front. We should have had ASM on the right side with Almiron in number 10 and Joe Linton maybe on the left, because we've established he's not a striker. But we keep playing him as one. But I think he did well when he came on. But I think Almiron, he needs support around him. And if you're trying to play a defensive mentality, and he's a guy that likes to run with the ball and run forward and make runs, if you've got no one feeding him the ball, then he's not going to have much of an impact.
Yeah. It's what do you do? I mean, he keeps smiling though, bless him, doesn't he? Gents, last question for the pair of you before I let you go, as we've still got Joseph, Proudlock and Lawrence all waiting now, and then it'll be time to wrap up. Wednesday night, Bournemouth away. How are we going to get on? And should changes be made? What players should be brought in? Who should be rested? As Lulu's had enough. He's too disconsolate, so it's just the 2 of us. So, Rory, take the floor. What should happen on Wednesday?
Well, you got to bring Dubravka. I reckon you could give Darlow a start in the Prem. We've got nothing to play for in the Prem. We're not getting relegated, and we're not going anywhere near 10th, I don't think. So, get Darlow in. Maybe get some of the youngsters, maybe at least on the bench, and show this is now the time, show fans that we actually know how to play football. So I can't see it, particularly with the situation Bournemouth are in. I can't see us winning it. I think a draw, maybe 0-0, 1-0 at best. But I will say one thing that surprised me is I read in the newspaper before the quarter-final that what Lascelles was saying about the FA Cup, and how some of the quotes he said were like, I don't see what all the hype about FA Cup is, things like that, and that as much as he'd love to have an FA Cup run, he'd rather have a top 10 finish. And I was like, so he'd rather come 10th and not win the FA Cup than come 14th and win it. So when your captain's saying that doesn't fill me with confidence. So this Premier League game needs to give me a bit more confidence in it. But I can't see it being more than a draw.
Yeah, draw seems to be a popular option tonight. Yeah. Anyway, Rory, thank you for coming on, and fingers crossed we bounce back on Wednesday night. As we welcome now back on to the ever popular Mr. Rutter. Paul, Miggy Almiron, what's going on with him?
Well, I've said this all along, and I agree with what the lads were saying just then. He is a number 10. He's not a winger. He's not somebody that can be out there and do a job well out there, because he'll naturally try and drift in, but then he's like, it's a halfway house for him. I think the way you get the best out of him is you do have him a lot closer. I think it helps Joe Linton and stuff as well, to be honest. He hasn't looked his exact self the last 2 games, but again, you've coming off a period of no football for quite a while beforehand he was playing really, really well, and then you're asking him to play in every single game. Again, it's about squad management, and he shouldn't have been one of the ones to play against Villa. If you're going to make changes, you make the changes to get them ready for this game. I haven't heard them comments about Lascelles, but if that is accurate, that Lascelles would prefer a top 10 finish over winning an FA Cup, then it's an absolute disgrace. I've seen teams at the top. I've seen us finish second. I've seen us, be relegated and stuff like that. 40 years, 4 decades, and I haven't seen us win a cup. It's not too much to ask just to try and get back to the latter stages and dare to dream and do the old Keegan reach for the stars. But yeah, Miggy, he should have been rested the previous games. If he'd have used the squad a little bit more intelligently against Villa, we wouldn't have probably picked up injuries to the likes of John Joe Shelby, to the likes of Matt Ritchie, to the likes of Isaac Hayden, which has really, really snookered us when we've come to the biggest game of the season, without a shadow of a doubt. I said it before, I'll say it again. This was our biggest game of the season. Villa, apart from being able to take the mick out of them, really meant very little to us. That was the only caveat to be able to put a nail in their coffin, and that was it. But the Lazaros of the world should have all been used on the game against Villa, and we should have been at it with the likes of John Joe Shelby, Isaac Hayden fully fit. I just think they could have made a huge difference. Miggy looks fatigued already, but it's just the same that what happened at Christmas time. Steve Bruce just doesn't seem to be able to manage the squad, and he seems to dither a little bit where you want some more decisive leadership. He's doing himself no favours. I think he's done a decent job, but the chance of history, how many times has it come round? Will he get another chance next season? Well, if the rumours are all true and all the stars align and we do get taken over, I doubt it. He's not done himself any favours today, Sam.
No, I have to agree. Right, we'll bring on Joseph momentarily, then we'll have Proudlock and Lawrence, and then that is a wrap. So thank you, everyone, for getting involved tonight as we welcome in now Joseph. Joseph, how are we doing?
Evening.
Joseph. Lights are on, but nobody is home. So we will bring in PD Proudlock. Peter, how are we doing?
How you doing, lads? Not too bad. Very annoyed after that.
I was going to say, you sound how we feel. We've been through the game to a large extent now. What I want to focus on with you is, what do you make of Andy Carroll's performance tonight?
Wasn't great. But again, the way it was set up was so negative. I mean, the 5 at the back, I know some people say play 5 at the back, but I don't think we should have. We should have kept the formation what I've been playing and just technically go for it. And I feel like we've just threw a massive opportunity down the drain. Absolutely. Your reason why Steve Bruce scrapped this formation back after the Crystal Palace game, because majority of times the football, it's been so bad to watch. It's not been enjoyable. You've been sitting there scratching your head a lot of the time and thinking, what the hell is this? What on earth is this? And that just felt like what it was out there tonight, particularly in the first half. Definitely.
Paul, I don't think Carroll did that bad considering the kind of lack of service he got. There was some quite intelligent forward playing there, winning tackles, and he absolutely leopard Laporte a couple of times. Paul, would you be starting Carroll? And obviously, it's always a tricky one with Carroll because of his obvious fitness issues. But do you think it was a positive, and would you be starting Carroll going forward?
At the end of the day, Sam, he's a striker who's scored no goals all season. He's really fit. I mean, from a sentimental side, I'm glad he stayed. He's got, 5 assists this season. At best, he is an impact substitute who you can throw on if you're behind in a game. A la Villa, you can bring him on and look for a different option, a little and large combination up top. He's not a starting Premier League forward anymore. His body simply cannot keep up to the rigours and demands that is needed of him. He doesn't look as if he's going to get anywhere near scoring a goal. Don't get me wrong, he's got attributes and qualities that we can still use when fit. Again, he looks lean. He looks ready for it. He does look hungry. The old facial hair and stuff like that, I think he looks a bit like Triple H off the wrestling. So I think that needs to be sorted. Like, if somebody can't get him a razor and some shaving foam, I mean things are hard. Like, but I wouldn't have him. I wouldn't have him up top next time out. What are you going to find out new about him? I don't think you're not going to find anything much out. I think Joe Linton comes back in. Maybe look at Joe Linton and Dwight Gill together. Although my opinions on Dwight Gill, I don't think he's Premier League quality. I don't think he's cut out for the job. He scores against Championship teams as he proved against Aston Villa last time out. Get me Aston Villa dig in there.
Of course.
But no, we now to the end of the season, Sam, we need to start learning about certain players, certain formations, what we can do going forward and what we should get rid of. But Andy Carroll, impact sub at best.
Yeah. Peter, you obviously agree. I see you nodding away there.
Yeah.
One other player I want to kind of focus on a little bit with you is Sean Longstaff. To me, he kind of looked off the pace early, which I'm kind of putting down to his lack of match practice, to use a kind of football manager phrase. But then after that, once he growed into the game, he obviously works his socks off every puts in a shift. What did you make of his performance as a whole?
Again, it's not looked great. I don't think he's been very up to scratch this season, Sean Longstaff. I wonder if the injuries picked up from last season's caught up with him a bit. That's what I'm slightly concerned about with Sean Longstaff, but hopefully we'll get back to being what he has been. I want to see the Sean Longstaff from last season, but I'm just thinking it could be the injuries picked up from last season that's really caught up with him and why he's not been the shining armour he has been lately.
Yeah. Final one, as we're getting pushed for time, we've got Lawrence waiting. Wednesday night, you like to predict the lineup, and you're not far off most of the time. How do you think we're going to set up, and how do you think it's going to go?
I think Bruce has got to go back to the previous formation that he has been using lately, the 4-2-3-1 formation, because it's worked a lot more better. We've managed to pick out a few results. We haven't even lost a game since we've switched to this 4-2-3-1 formation, and we've looked a lot more better. And he's got to go with that. If he goes 5 at the back again, I'm going to be outraged. Because it's so... I just don't like this wing-back system formation anymore, sorry.
Well, we'll know by 5 p.m. on Wednesday when the team comes out. Peter, thanks for coming on. And, of course, be sure to check out PD Proudlock on YouTube as we say goodbye to Peter. And we bring in our final guest of the evening, Mr. Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence, how are we?
Annoyed after that game.
Yeah, and judging from the comments and all the interactions we've had this evening, so are a lot of people. Lawrence, Sean Longstaff, and the Longstaffs in general, what's going on with them? And should Matty be playing more? Should Sean got a full 90 minutes tonight, coming back from a pretty nasty injury. I mean, just to go back on a point I made before, he didn't even make an appearance in they're not pre-season friendlies, they were pre-restart friendlies. Was it a bit harsh to just chuck him in against Manchester City straight away?
Probably, and I would have went with the 4-2-3-1. I would have actually had Cher in the midfield. I don't know who I would have had alongside him, because obviously Bentley was suspended and the other midfielders weren't fully fit. Maybe it's Matty or Shelby for this game. And I think with Sean, it just was sharpness just wasn't there. I mean, as Peter said, the injury he got against West Ham last year might have caught up with him. But I think, as Paul was mentioning, Bruce probably should have been managing the squad a lot better against Villa and Sheffield United. Because even if we put out a less stronger side against Villa, you'd still think, well, that side is more than good enough to win the game.
So I'm going to run a theory past you now, because on our Facebook private group, which Paul, you would have seen as you're very busy on there, of course, joining our fantastic membership programs. Where's the old? Where is it? There it is. Facebook and YouTube memberships. Check it out. Go on for more extra NFTV content. It is fantastic, if I do say so myself. I put a post on there the other day with how I would line up, not how I thought we'd line up, but how I would have lined up against Manchester City. And I've got to be honest, I would have gone for 5-4-1. However, I would have gone for ASM as the central striker, as I believed, with Almiron and Lazaro either side, by the way, because I believed that pace was the key to breaking down Manchester City's two centre-backs as opposed to power. Do you think Bruce maybe missed a trick with that, trying to go for power? Because Otamendi and Laporte are quite decent in the air, but they're slow as sin. So did Bruce miss a trick?
Well, I think I can understand why.
Is what I'm asking. Am I a genius?
Am I what? Sorry.
Am I a genius for thinking such a fantastic game plan against Manchester City, which would have won us the game?
I can understand why he started Carroll, but I think the way we set up, saint-maximin, Almiron weren't really there to support him. In fairness, I do think the two were on the wrong sides. They were better like the other sides. But you know, I would have actually started Dwight Gill in the 43-1 after his goal on Wednesday, just for the confidence, and he might have done a job. He should have buried that chance before Sterling scored.
Yeah,
and I just say on that, it's all right having ASM and Miggy in the team, but when they operate in the virtual left back and right back areas, they were far too deep. But I didn't hear Bruce once telling them to get up and stay up closer towards Andy Carroll. There was just no outlet. If he won the ball, there was nobody to really knock it down to and exploit that pace in behind. It was just literally hit and hope. And the amount of times ASM was in the defensive, berths was unbelievable. He's no good there. We need him further up to exploit.
Yeah. What I thought as well was, especially in the first half, there was no outlet because they stuck De Bruyne on ASM. And every time, if you look at the game and watch the game back, every time we looked for ASM, De Bruyne was on him like a flash, and he was not giving him an inch. And obviously, De Bruyne is the best centre midfielder, definitely in the Premier League, maybe in Europe, who knows. So, Lawrence, what do you reckon for Wednesday against Bournemouth? Who would you be playing? Who would you be resting? And what do you think the result's going to be?
I think I'll probably make my decision on what kind of team I put out on Tuesday. As for result, I don't think we'll get beat this time. I think we'll go back to the 4-2-3-1. Bruce will have less excuses too, obviously. I watched Bournemouth against Palace. They were pretty terrible, especially first half. So I'm hoping that is similar. But it will be interesting to see what away games are like for us behind closed doors, because all three of these games have been at home. I'm going to
push you for a scoreline.
Okay, this might change in a couple of days' time, but I'll just say 1-1 for now.
Seems a very popular score. Lawrence, thanks for coming on again, mate. We'll see you again soon. That was Lawrence there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. Paul, have you had fun? Has it been therapeutic?
I don't know. Ask me after a couple of drinks in a minute. I want to go now to go and read the drinks fridge, I reckon. Because I just need to forget about this. I just need to be able to erase it from my memory and try and pick my spirits up, ready for a pretty much meaningless game for us against Bournemouth next time out. Gutted.
Yeah, stay tuned to NFTV this evening. In about 15-20 minutes' time, we've got Scoring the Players with Johnny, Kyle, and I, Sam. Then after that, we've got Lee with a Manchester City fan. I'm sure it's a very happy Manchester City fan as they go into the FA Cup semi-final against Arsenal now. And then, of course, finally, we've got the last word with Lee and yourself, Paul. So if you want more, Paul, and why wouldn't you? Look at the face. See him on the last word. But that is it from us on the Fan Reaction Show. Thanks for everyone who's interacted, whether it be in the comments or coming on screen with us tonight. And thank you to you, Paul. And we'll see you again Wednesday night. Stay tuned to NFTV.